Good afternoon, friends. Stephen Bernoon with Israeli News Live. Today is October the 16th, 2025, and we are going to dive into a subject that is alarming, it is shocking, it is provocative, but it is a subject that is so needed. I can't even begin to tell you how needed it is. I've kind of put together a title: When Religion Blesses Violence. Uh, Basically, what are they doing? They're releasing the spirit of Barabbas all over again. Now, I have taken a dive deep into this subject, and it's actually going to go into another series still yet I'll be doing on this. So it's going to be multiple parts in this video here because I'm also investigating all these wars in the Middle East and what they could potentially hold. Now, before I even get started, let me clarify something right from the very outset. I don't believe that all rabbis hold the same view as what I'm about to share. I don't believe that all Jewish people hold the same ideologies of what has been dominating the Middle East and this genocide that has taken place inside of Gaza. And certainly not all Americans and not all Christians either. So, with that being stated, there are some things that I really want to take a look at here with you. Some different types of what's going on, mainly because of Barabbas. There are key verbiages about Barabbas. He's mentioned in all four Gospels. Three of them call him a murderer. One of those, I think it's in the book of Matthew, only talks about him being a criminal of notoriety, and how that he was not only is he a basically like a political criminal, a political prisoner, but he actually was involved in the act of murder itself. But it's not just any kind of murder, and that's what alarms me the most. When we're looking at Barabbas, we're going to come back here to where the group of rabbis sent back in October 31st of 2023, telling Netanyahu it's okay for them to bomb the Al Shifa hospital in Gaza. And it has gone on over and over and over, even inside the Israeli government. You have Ben Gvir, you have Smotrich, who have certainly, along with many other prominent rabbis, and again, like I said, not all rabbis, but you got a lot of radicals that have strongly endorsed the killing of women and children inside of Gaza. But it's not just limited to Gaza. You got the West Bank, you got Syria, you got Iraq, even calling for Iran, you got Yemen, many other nations throughout the Middle East that there have been constant bloodshed. Well, let's look at this whole thing here because it's very troubling. Mark, this is what he says here, Mark 15, verse 7. And there was one named Barabbas, which lay bound with them that had made insurrection with him, who had committed murder in the insurrection. Now, the Greek word that is used in this particular verse is a feminine noun for the murder. It's feminine, not masculine. And you can use the word murder, like in the case of, I think it's in the Gospel of John. I forget the actual verse that's in, or the chapter and the verse there, but it's where it's talking about Cain, that he was a murderer, you know, and it's using a masculine verbiage in speaking about Cain being a murderer, that he was like his father, a murderer from the beginning. And clearly, as I studied this out, Mark could have used a masculine form of that verbiage there when he talked about he had committed murder in the insurrection. But for some reason, Mark chose a feminine version of the word murderer. And I think it's because the guilt of murdering a woman. So Could have been more than one. I don't know the answer to that. But the thing is, it's a feminine, and it doesn't necessarily imply that it was a woman. But knowing the fact that in the Gospel of John, that same word that was a masculine version that would have the exact same context and structure, of syntax of structure there, could have easily been used, but Mark chose the feminine version. I think it's because of women. And the reason why I bring this up, because in the modern day, or even in biblical times as well, Barabbas, who signifies the murdering spirit, is released back on who in those days there? Upon the Christian people. Remember, the Christian is represented as a bride, as a woman. But in the modern times, when we look at this context, we know that Israel had their famous picture there where they have a picture of a pregnant woman and they say, one shot, two kills. It's very famous in the IDF circles. One shot, two kills. And the number of women and children that have been murdered inside of Gaza is staggering. They talk about Hamas numbers. Well, according to what the statistics are, the best we were able to get initially, it is approximately 2/3 are women and children of those people that are killed. And of course, it's all justified. Well, so let's back out then just a little bit. Let's take a look at this. Now, notice here. And the multitude, crying aloud, began to desire him to do as he had ever done unto them. But Pilate answered them, saying, Will you that I release unto you the King of the Jews? For he knew that the chief priests had delivered him for envy. But the chief priests moved the people that he should rather release Barabbas unto them. And Pilate answered and said again unto them, What will you then that I shall do unto him whom you call the King of the Jews? And they cried out again, Crucify him. Then Pilate said unto them, Why, what evil has he done? And they cried out the more exceedingly, Crucify him. And so Pilate, willing to content the people, released Barabbas unto them and delivered Jesus, when he had scourged him, to be crucified. Now, when you begin to look at all these anomalies, and then we try to begin to look at this in a modern context, we really see some of the same characters all over again. And I don't even look at Netanyahu as being a type of Pilate, because Pilate was a Roman governor. He was a prefect of Tiberius, the Caesar of Rome, which clearly is a type of Donald Trump today. And if you'll notice, the rabbis kept saying to Pilate, if you do not kill him, you are not Caesar's friend. It's almost like they're claiming to be Caesar's friend. And Donald Trump has a very close relationship with the Orthodox community, especially that. And of course, remember, not all the Orthodox community supports what's going on. There's many Orthodox Jews, especially in America, that are against what is happening in Israel. They're against Zionism. They are against the genocide of Gaza. But then there is that radical group. There is that radical group, like what you see here in this article right here, where they called out and they said, here, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, may his light shine. The heads of state and security apparatus explicitly affirming the right of the state to bomb the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza, the main hospital in the Strip. That's what 45 influential Israeli rabbis' initial list addressed to the prime minister. 45. And by the way, I don't call them that, by the way, either. I'm only reading it out of the article itself. You can call them scholars, Hebrew scholars. You can call them Hebrew teachers, whatever you want to call them, or Talmudist. Maybe that would be the better way to call them, because even scholar to me is too great of a word for people that are willing to kill in the name of Israel. Jacob's changed name, a Prince of Peace. That's definitely not Prince of Peace. Anyway, it goes on to say, and regardless, an attack on the healthcare facilities is prohibited under international law. If Israel does bomb Shifa, it won't be the first time. The hospital was attacked on July 28, 2014, and the time it was the fourth hospital Israel bombed during that onslaught. Now they just bomb them everywhere. They didn't give a flip what they do anymore, right? Just bomb and kill and bomb, right? Now, Netanyahu kind of reminds me more of Herod, even though Herod's time was not during the time of the death of Jesus Christ. He certainly was trying to kill him from the very beginning, though. And Herod, much like Netanyahu, also had a very long reign in his tenure. I think 33 to 34 years he was king over Israel. And much like Netanyahu, he's not even a real Jewish guy. He's actually an Edomite. And Netanyahu also comes from a Polish family that is actually Khazarian mafia. Let's just face it, it's what he really is. So he's also served some 17 years over a 25 or 27 year span. Is off and on, but that's how long this man was in power. And he's still trying to hang on to power. But much like that of Herod the Great, and why they call the man great, I have no idea, because as soon as Jesus was born and the wise men come from the east to want to give him gifts and everything, down in Bethlehem, where is notoriously a very huge Christian population in Israel, the modern state of Israel today, but now has dwindled down to a very small number. Why? Because of the persecution of the Christian community there has driven them out. Herod sent in and had all the children killed 2 years old and down, trying to find the Messiah and kill him. It can be alleged that Israel, under Netanyahu's rule, throughout the entire Middle East, for example, everywhere there is a Christian population, whether it be Syria, whether it be Lebanon, whether it be Gaza, the West Bank, and those surrounding communities, Christians are constantly targeted. And the funny thing is, Mike Huckabee, to me, is like a modern day Pilate in a way. He's working for Donald Trump, the modern day Caesar. And what is he doing? He does seem to somewhat care. He is a Christian, after all, or alleged Christian, and he does seem to care. So, like when they were attacking churches in the West Bank there, he asked Israel to strongly condemn it. But he's afraid. He's afraid to push too hard against the religious. Because after all, remember, they said, if you do not release Barabbas and crucify Christ, you are no friend of Donald Trump. And Trump's already controlled by the rabbinical leaders of that day there, right? So what do we have? Netanyahu's government takes a turn towards a theocracy. He wanted to be like Herod the Great. This is an old article, from a couple of years ago, but it is definitely headed towards a theocracy. And there you see Ben Gvir in that picture with Netanyahu with other radical right-wingers. One time I would have never believed that Netanyahu would have become this way. Would have never believed it. But now I'm watching it in real time there. So, oh my gosh, I got some notes here. Let me just look at that here. And by the way, the United States, it follows the same geopolitical role like that of Rome 2,000 years ago. It funds and arms Israel's wars. It shields Israel in the UN. It plays Caesar, to which modern Pilate, in this case Mike Huckabee, must stay loyal to him. And at first, I began to think that maybe that we could look at Netanyahu as a modern-day Pilate, but we can't. That's a Roman prefect. So, I guess you could, but I've been trying to look at some of the types and shadows there. But we also have in this article here on the Middle East, the AA.com.tr, Jewish rabbi encourages killing Gazans, even children. Not every soul shall live, says head of the Sharit Moshe Religious School in Jaffa. says right here, an Israeli rabbi urged the killing of women and children in Gaza Strip and said he considered it a response to the teachings of the Halakha or Jewish law. It came from Eliyahu Mali in a video that was widely circulated Thursday on social media. Now, granted, that is radical Judaism. Reformed Jewish people just don't believe that way. That's why you find a lot of your Reformed Judaism and even a lot of Orthodox in America that are just totally against what has happened in Gaza. And you have a lot of Holocaust survivors that say continually, not in my name. Mali has, okay, we got into that there. In our mitzvah holy war, in our situation in Gaza, according to what the law says, not every soul shall live. And the logic of this is very clear. If you do not kill them, they will kill you, said Mali. He claimed that those, I don't know why we got that in there, in today's war are the children of the previous war whom we kept alive. And in reality, it is the women who produced terrorists. What is it? It's a Barabbas spirit. You see, they have released the spirit of Barabbas. Who was the one person that actually cared and tried to warn her husband, have nothing to do with this just man? It was Pilate's wife. There are some genuine Christians that are willing to stand up and say, don't do this. Don't kill these people. Don't allow Barabbas to be set free. But unfortunately, we know that's already come and gone. Barabbas was set free. And the true Christianity has already been crucified. This is where we end up with our Zionist Christianity of today. Maybe we could even back up under the Scofield doctrine and we could see where Barabbas was set free. When Cyrus Scofield had Jesus crucified, the true word was crucified. And then they began to teach in the universities everywhere in the United States, starting with the Moody Bible Institute and moving outwards there, teaching this new Son of the Father, Barabbas, who was a false Messiah, an Antichrist doctrine that was set out. But it was a doctrine that's willing to murder women and children. Just like that of Barabbas and just like that of Herod the Great. All it waited for was the key figures at the very end to be put into place. And now, because Netanyahu and the right-wing government that he has watched as the world does nothing, they can get away with anything, do anything they want now, because they know no one will dare say a word. See, Pilate, it kind of eats at him. And maybe for you as a Christian, it kind of eats at you. You know Jesus is really innocent, but you know you've got that whole world coming down on you because the rabbis are telling you, if you dare let Jesus go, you're no friend of Donald Trump. See, that's become the whole MAGA movement is you can't speak against Trump. And quite frankly, now they control both House and Senate in the United States. It's so corrupted to where there's not much left but judgment. You know, at least Pilate's wife had the courage. Don't have anything to do with this just man. Because as I look around everywhere else, nobody cares. No, they've sold Jesus out. He's been sold completely out down the road. And the thing is, today, you need to please look at yourself sincerely, quickly. Don't allow yourself to be on the side that is allowing Jesus Christ to be crucified while they just slaughter everyone, while Barabbas is going through the streets and murdering everyone. What side will you stand on? Where will you be? You see, everything that we do is just like a repeat of history. Everything is recorded and everything is being watched. And your Heavenly Father knows just what's in your heart. You know, there is no, I want to play something here for you in closing. This is Mike Huckabee being questioned here on
would
CBS.
eventually be turned over to friendly Arab forces. Deborah Patta talked about that.
Let me play this for you real quick. It's probably not going to let me play speed back on it, so let's just play a little clip.
That and more with the U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee.
Many of the families of hostages do not support an expansion of the war and a takeover of Gaza. In fact, the mother of Nimrod Cohen said this would be a death sentence for the hostages. Surely their voice matters.
Families have different views of what should be done, what could be done. When I hear people say, well, the Israeli government, they don't want to end this war, that's absurd. That's utterly false.
President Trump has said there's real starvation in Gaza, and he appeared deeply troubled by images of starving children.
Oh, I think that there are certainly people suffering in Gaza. It's happening because Hamas has not allowed the food to get to the people who are hungry.
We spoke to the World Food Programme, and they have not been shown any evidence of this at all.
Are you telling me they say that their food has not been looted?
No, I'm saying there's no evidence that it's being diverted to Hamas.
I'm shocked they would say that.
According to the UN, over 1,400 people have been killed trying to get food, nearly 900 near the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites.
We've had reports that there have been incidences, so forgive me if I'm a little skeptical when someone says, these people are being killed at the JHF sites. If I would hear that, I assure you we'd be interested in getting the details.
At what point is the human suffering in Gaza so great that the US demands that Israel allows free flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza?
I think Israel is allowing a very steady flow of food. And you know, here's a question I'd love to ask some of the people who are so critical of Israel. How many countries who are in the middle of a war are expected to feed the enemies who murdered their people?
Article 3.
How many countries are expected to feed their enemy? Mike Huckabee, I am so ashamed of you that you would even dare take the name of Jesus. Because Jesus, and it clearly says, love your enemy. He also said, love your neighbor as yourself, and yet they tried to justify themselves to say, well, who really is my neighbor? That's probably the worst excuse I've ever heard. Hamas allegedly is the enemy, and I say allegedly because Netanyahu funded Hamas, demanded they be funded before the Knesset in 2018 so that the PLO does not get a two-state solution. Palestinians are not Hamas. Little children are not Hamas. Mothers are not Hamas. You have stooped just like Pilate. Actually, I think maybe Pilate was a little bit better. He knew Jesus was innocent. But instead, you've chosen Barabbas over Jesus. Stephen Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live. Something to consider.